What's up everybody? Daniel back for month 6. As you can see, things are going really well. I now own a boardroom overlooking the city. Just kidding. But month 6, I want to do things a little bit differently. It's a good checkpoint where we can review everything that's happened over the past 6 months, all the people that I've met, all the things that I've had to get done, and then the things that we need to continue to do moving forward. So I'm gonna go through the same format, the week by week, but I'm gonna do it really quickly because I was away on a trip for half the month anyway. So let's just fly through that, and then we're gonna meet all the people on my team. I'm gonna seat them around the table at the boardroom, and we're gonna review all their roles and what they've helped me accomplish so far. All right, so let's jump right into that. Month 6, week 1, I reached out to an interior designer. This is someone that my parents know. She's helped us with some home renovations over the years, also my dad's office. So I spoke with her and I gave her some, like a vision board, sort of some things that I wanted to incorporate into my office. So I just got the ball rolling with her. I also talked to some different sales reps. I was going over the equipment that I'm going to need in my office again, the braces, the hand instruments, and I also talked to a rep regarding a scanner. So lots of reps. This also got me thinking about what I want to do in my lab space, whether I want to have an old-fashioned lab or I want it to be more high-tech. Started getting me thinking about which scanners and printers I might need. So I just started to gather some thoughts and ideas for that, but no major decisions were made at this point. The lease is still not signed yet, so let's move on to the next week. Month 6, week 2, big news, I finally signed the lease. So all the edits over the months, the revisions, here we are, and week 2 of month 6, I signed the lease. Another thing happened this week. I committed to practice management software. So I made a deposit with Ortho 2, more to come on that. And I just continued some emails and text chats with all of the reps that I mentioned in the previous week, just to kind of determine prices and what I really need in my office. But that's pretty much it for week 2. So let's keep going. Week 3 of this 6th month, I had a virtual meeting with my accountant, and we just kind of went over what the banker is gonna need from me, and he was asking me some questions. So all this is working towards the projections that I'm gonna have to supply to the banker. I started comparing different ways you can set up the sterilization, whether you wanna do washer, ultrasonic, things like that. It's kind of boring, so just know that I looked into different sterilization room options. Another thing that I was doing this week was I was asking the interior designer who I mentioned, I was asking her opinion about some of the design concepts for the back. So in the clinical operatories, like if I put a side cabinet, should I put a rear cabinet? What's going to be functional versus aesthetic, which is always a big trade-off. So I had been talking to mostly dental and orthodontic people about that, and I just wanted to ask her and her interior design instincts what she thought might look the best. And we're at week 4 now. I actually went on a trip. I went to Greece, I went to Poland, and I went to Ireland. So these are some photos from my trip. And all right, so that was just the quickest month ever. But you can see I'm all dressed up today because we are in the boardroom and we are going to meet all the team members and summarize what they've done for me so far. I'm hoping you're gonna find this really helpful. So to start off this meeting, I think I wanna break it down into the people, places, and things. Let's start with place first. So as you know, it took me a really long time to find a location that was gonna work for me in terms of the part of town I wanna be in, the city I wanna live in, most importantly, whether there are neighborhoods, shopping malls, schools close by. So finding the place, and then once I narrowed down location, even just finding a space, that took a lot longer than I thought. So I would just say get on that maybe earlier than you expected, because it took me about 6 months to get that done. It'll probably depend city by city, the amount of availability there is, but just know that could take longer than you think. So I don't think it hurts to start looking early and often. Okay, so now we're gonna start adding people to the table here. And I'm gonna try to summarize their role and then like 1 to 2 sentences about what they've done for me so far. Okay, so first person up is the dental sales rep. He helped me get the ball rolling with this whole process. He put me in touch with some great people to find an office space, and he's been in charge of finding me the right dental equipment. So the chairs, the cabinets, the sterilization, those are the main ones, as well as the x-ray machine. The next person I want to introduce is the real estate agent. So the real estate agent, obviously, he asked me which part of town I want to be in, what size space I'm looking for, and he gave me a list of options that helped me get down to where we are today. Next up is the lawyer, who I'm calling the real estate lawyer because she's the one who's been reviewing the lease for me over all these months, making sure we're not missing anything, that I'm gonna be well protected if there are any issues that come up. The fourth person I'm gonna bring to the table is my orthodontic mentor. He is the one who taught me a lot about the ergonomics of a good orthodontic practice, make sure there's a good flow from the door through reception back to the clinic. So I learned a lot from him, and I've been trying to apply those concepts to the floor plans that we've been playing with. This brings me to the next person, which is the design consultant. She's been on the back end, sort of populating the shell of the space that I'm working with. So putting in the chairs, the reception, the sterilization. She knows the dimensions of everything and the space that we're working with. So she's making sure it all fits together, that we've got enough space between things for walkways, paths through the office. So she's been great doing that, and also taking my feedback that I've been relaying to her from my orthodontic mentor. These people that I've mentioned so far, I would kind of group them as the office space people. Let's move on to the legal/financial people. So there's 3 people I want to talk about here. First up is the banker. The banker obviously is the one who's going to be providing me with the loan, line of credit, and he's asking for projections for my first 3 or so years from my accountant. My accountant was able to put together these projections based on the equipment lists that I've been getting, the estimates for the leasehold improvements, and then also just some projections, how many cases I think I'll start, the salaries that I'm gonna have to pay my staff. So he was using that information, and he was also comparing it to some other dental clients that he has. So that was really helpful, that he's familiar with the dental world, and the stuff the accountant is giving me, I can sort of ship over to the banker for him to review my whole application. And then the final person in this category, I'm calling him my incorporation lawyer. So he's the one who, he worked with my accountants a little bit, and he helped me create a dental professional corporation. And he also helped me register my business name. Okay, so that's the legal financial people. Let's move back towards the office space now. So later in the vlog series, I mentioned that a general contractor has been involved. He initially helped me look over the lease to make sure the leasehold improvements, the tenants work, all those things were in order. So he was great. Another set of eyes to look at that. And then he also is starting to give me some estimates on how much the renovation, the leasehold improvements are gonna cost. I also just quickly mentioned in this video that I have an interior designer who's on the case as well. She was giving me some feedback for how I can lay out the back part of the office. And then in the coming months, she's gonna help me with the reception, the colors, the design, the lights, all that stuff to make the office look really amazing. I also mentioned that I had a graphic designer help me with the logo. You can probably see behind me that the logo on the screen is different. So I will explain how and why that happened. But there was a graphic designer involved to help me sort out the logo situation. And then the last group of people I want to talk about are who I'm going to call the clinical or the sales rep people. So I mentioned early on that I was talking to an American orthodontics rep who's going to be in charge of helping me get brackets and instruments like the pliers, the cutters, things like that. So that was one person. I've also been talking to a few reps, I think 3 reps for practice management software. So Dolphin Tops, Ortho 2, and I told you recently that I made a decision, but I think talking to all those different reps was helpful to get a sense of what's out there. I've talked to a few aligner reps, and again, I'm just grouping all these people together as reps for clinical needs. But yeah, whether it's Invisalign or ULab or Spark or Graphy, it's good to start talking to these people, let them know that you're going to be needing their product soon and see what offers they have for you. And then I also was talking to one of these aligner reps about scanner possibilities as well. So this is my team all sitting around the table here. I think there are a few more people that are going to be added to the team in the coming months, but I'm hoping that this gives you a sense of who's involved and what their actual roles are. Like I said in one of my early videos, you know the people that are involved, you know you need a banker, an accountant, a lawyer, but I didn't really know what exactly they do until I just dove into this process. So I'm really hoping that this video will kind of summarize all the people involved and their role. So we talked about the place, we talked about the people, and last we're going to talk about the things. So I'm just going to list off the things that I've needed so far. In the legal financial sphere, I think there's 4 things. I needed a business plan, which I was going to submit to the bank. I needed financial projections, and the big costs that the bank wants to know in here are the leasehold improvements and the equipment costs. And then I also have a dental professional corporation now, and I have a registered business name. Moving on to the office space sphere. So obviously you need a location and a lease that you should review very carefully. And then inside you need a floor plan, the equipment, a vision board. You can start thinking how you want to design the interior of your office. And along with all those things, you're gonna start to need some quotes for the cost of things that you can supply to your accountant and your banker. Okay, and then finally, we're gonna move on to the clinical sphere. So I would put things like brackets, instruments, aligners, scanners, and practice management software as the main things you wanna be thinking about for all clinical activities in your practice. And then of course, you've got all the forms. So like your medical forms, your welcome to the office, your patient education stuff. Never too early to start working on that. All right, and then at the end of the month, I was actually in Dublin, Ireland, and I'll play this video for you guys. I am out here in Dublin, Ireland, and I just got word that the landlord signed the lease for my office space. So it's really nice to have that milestone complete, and I'm in a good place to celebrate tonight. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so we're wrapping up month 6 on a high note. The lease was finally signed and confirmed by the landlord. I tried to give you a nice summary of all the people, places, and things involved so far. And I feel like we're finally picking up some momentum heading into the summer. A few thoughts to wrap this all up. I think that what I could have done better, I should have started looking for a place sooner. Just given the scarcity of locations where I want to be, and then I wasn't anticipating so many edits between everyone for the lease. Something I think that worked out well, just having connections through my parents, which obviously not everyone will have, unfortunately, but finding people who have connections, I think is really helpful. especially when all these people sort of know each other. Like if your contractor knows your interior designer, knows your dental equipment rep, that's really helpful when you don't have to be the middleman for every communication and they're motivated to just contact each other on their own. That's been really helpful. And another thing I'll mention too is I do speak through a lot of these things quickly in the videos, but it does take time. So just expect phone calls during lunch, emails before work, meetings after work. It's very doable, but it is gonna be a big time commitment. So just be prepared for that. If you've been enjoying this series, make sure to like and subscribe. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys back for month number 7.